This is part 2 to part 1.
In China, home buyers have stopped paying their mortgages. And is there a mortgage crisis in China right now?
So in part 1, I was describing what was going on in China's mortgage crisis. Cover the concept of bank runs, fractional reserve banking, where it described that if banks held $10, they only need to keep $1 in reserve and lend $9 out to other businesses, or in this example, builders and developers. Now, I was describing the Chinese lending scheme. Basically, compared to Australia, developers only get a progressive draw of the loan amount based on certain stages. For example, the foundation stage, the concreting part, then stage 2, the framework, then the brickwork, then the roof, yada yada yada. Now each stage gets checked by a certified valuer to make sure each stage is in accordance with the build plans. But in China, 100% of that construction is given to the developers, which means in China, first home buyers who purchase the off the plan, they will take out a land and construction loan, and 100% of that money is already given to the developer. And on that day one, after they sign the signatures, they start making repayments. If that happened in Australia, builders will be like, yalla yalla habibi habibi, 2 AMG for my bricky over here. Luckily, the Australian government has very strict lending policies to yalla all the construction loan to the builders. So right now, as you can see in the news, the peeps in China has found out that these so-called developers are experiencing a cash flow problem, and they're struggling to complete the construction. All the while, these poor buggers first home buyers in China are already making repayments on their loan. And to what? So right now, kudos to them, they're boycotting their mortgage repayments to the banks. Reportedly, mortgage repayments have stopped in 301 projects in 91 cities. Now, could this be a repeat of the 2008 recession in China, but on a whole new scale? I really doubt it, because China is China. They have massive loads of cash. They already got the US by the balls with trillions of debt that they are lending to them. But to complete this 2-video series, what can we learn from this in Australia? What I want you to take away from this video is that in Australia, our lending policies is very stable and safe, and it's very transparent. Now, though we have our own qualms about the existing government here, the government does a great job in controlling lending and avoiding that kind of Ponzi scheme that you saw in part 1 with developers. That's why I personally think our property market won't crash and just continue to grow. And this is what a lot of us take for granted in Australia. Look at China. They are making repayments on nothing being built yet. And that shit is legal over there. I mean, think of those poor first home buyers in China right now. You put down your bloody 20% deposit, you're making repayments every single month, and you find out your freaking developer is going bankrupt. What happens to your freaking loan? What, do you still hold a liability? So that completes part 2 of this video series. I love to read your comments. I love to know what you think about this. And watch part 1 if you're totally confused what this video is about.